So we're back on the bench with the unit open, which is obviously not a good sign. So what happened, I did a bit of preliminary testing, and when I first engaged play, and then on the computer did a C load, the recorder mechanism acted like it was playing. The take-up wheel, flip it over here, if you can see the take-up wheel here was spinning, but only spun for a very short period of time and then quit spinning, and no matter what I do, I can't get it to spin again. So I don't know if it's a belt issue or if there's like a friction wheel issue, something like that we need to look at. The issue right now in testing this is it requires the computer to basically, there's an SIO signal. It basically says motor on for the cassette. And I think I could probably put +5 into one of the pins here and make that happen. But it turns out the easiest way to do this, looking at the schematic, is there's 2 switches in the unit here. And what these switches do on fast forward and rewind is bypass that signal from the computer to get the motor turned on. So if I just jumper these, like one of these switches is always closed, I should be able to hit play and have the mechanism run freely. So in looking at this, one side of the switches run parallel. One side of the switches comes down to that solder pad right there. On the other side is in this big ground pour that comes down to right there. So I think just a jumper between those 2 points will be enough to make the motor free run without the computer needing to be involved, which will be fine. That'll do what we need here for testing. It's going to be easy enough to undo. Probably don't want to hold this with my bare hands. I would suspect the wire is going to get rather warm. But I'm just going to jumper these if I can. Doesn't need to be a great job, just enough that they're soldered. I'm going to go ahead and trim this extra off here just so it's not in the way. And now if I plug in power, did I plug in the right power? No, I didn't. That's why nothing happened there, was the wrong power cord got plugged in. And if we hit play, the motor's spinning, which is a good thing. Stop, eject, let's get it open, hit play. So I'll do this again, maybe you'll be able to see it. If you watch the wheel right here, you can see it try to spin. When I fast forward, it definitely spins, and it's nice and firm. And there's a spot in play where you see it try to go. It just doesn't. So there's an alignment issue with something, or I can see that the capstan and the pressure wheel for the capstan are rotating. So this is going to be something hopefully simple but mechanical. So let's tear down into the unit a little bit here again. And we'll start by just taking the PC board off, and we should be able to see, well, half the mechanism. I'm afraid it's that 4th belt we didn't replace, because it looked impossible to get to. And if it is, I guess I'm going to have to do enough of a teardown to try to replace the belt. So flip the board out of the way. Play is here. So that wheel there becomes isolated. There's no tension on that belt. Does that belt tension up when I release this? Yeah, that belt gets pulled back into tension when it's released. That's the belt I didn't feel like I could replace. It looked almost impossible to get to. I'm going to go go ahead and plug it back in. The motor should be spinning. See if we can get a clue here. I can't see enough of the mechanism to know. Okay, it is here. I can feel that it wants to spin. You can see the tape counter back there move. So the tape counter pulleys back here will move when I manually rotate it. Oops. But I can't tell what's supposed to be making it move. Really don't know. I've ended up with a lot more oil on there than I intended. I wonder if it's slipping because I've got oil where there shouldn't be oil. I do see a friction wheel down there, I think. Like I say, it worked for a minute. Yeah, there's a little friction wheel there. I probably screwed up here putting that drop of oil in there, as I suspect it got on the rubber and so this turns all the way to here. So that is driving. Just noticed the plastic on that's broken. Looks like those are okay, those do lift off. Loose on one side. There it goes. So that just kind of floats on there. It's got a little slot, which makes me think this one's going to be the same way. but I can now see definitely down in there better. There's the friction wheel right there. Well, looks to me like I should be able to can't quite get the spring to release. That's because it's in the other side. That whole thing lift up out of there? Certainly looks like it should. Well, maybe not. So with this kind of back out of the way, this rubber feels very dry and old. Yeah, there's just not a way that's going to lift up out of there like that. You have to take a bit of alcohol to that, knock any remaining grease off of it. So let's try to put this back together. Oh, great. This sits back in here like so. Just go up underneath there. And that spring what I don't see is where the other side of the spring was attached to. It can't just be sitting there. Is it down in that hole right there? That must be what that hole's there for. No, that doesn't make sense. Should have taken a picture, and I didn't. Isn't it amazing how I had that out of there a second ago? And then this would come that through there, that through there, and this now just back in place. That has to be how it was. This can go on. So I'm going to rotate it 180 so the broken side is to the area where there's no pin, so it should get a little better clip action. Idea is to get any alcohol off here. I can see where the wheel's been rolling on it. It did have oil on it. Another possibility is to rough that surface up slightly. Okay, yeah, that's better. But now I definitely got oil all over it. I didn't mean it to be up here on this part of the shaft. Does it not feel like it's dropping down into place correctly? No, I guess it is. I guess the true answer is what happens with the bridge. Well, the bridge is sitting in place normally, so it is all the way down. Wrong screwdriver. I didn't put the belt on. You were probably yelling at me, the belt, the belt. Shoot. You know, there's just days where fingers don't feel like working. And this is one of those days. I saw it roll up under here. That is certainly not doing what it's supposed to. So something is not moving correctly. Yeah, and fast forward is no longer working. So I have done something in putting that mechanism back together that was incorrect. I should have taken a picture of where the springs were. Oh, that was not sitting down in place correctly. That might have been enough right there to keep it from yeah, that's sitting down better now. It's not hitting that spring. Hopefully that's enough. And again, you're seeing well demonstrated here why saving the springs is so important. And doggone it, probably yelling at me again, the belt, the belt, the belt. Sometimes, man. Make sure the twist comes out, which it did. But yeah, why I actually take the time to turn the screw backwards, feel for the original threads that were cut and screw back into there, because just many times none of those posts would have worn those posts out. So the question now becomes, okay, I can hear that advance is actually advancing. Play. Nope, same thing. It started to turn. It wants to turn. Just a little bit of pressure on it, and it turns. Really struggling with what's got it hung up. Let's pull off some belts. So you see it trying to go here. So where that belt comes back to, I may have to pull the mechanism out and see where there's another belt underneath here that comes back that's being fed deeper in. Either one of those wheels engages, but with it stopped and fast forward, it's definitely driving it now. You can see this wheel just spinning like mad here. Rewind doesn't, however, run the tape counter backwards, and that I don't understand actually whether it should or not. Yeah, I think at this point it becomes pull the mechanism out, which I was hoping to avoid. But I do have a better feel for which screws actually need to be released, because I released several previously that didn't need to come out, like these here. Hopefully I'm on camera, that hold the buttons in place. I only need, where's the flat blade? Oh, really? It was wonderful. Clipped off lead fell down inside. You and you need to come out. That should release the mechanism. Oh, I can see the oil on that belt. Yeah, this is my fault. You can see the oil all over inside of here. So I believe this is the wheel here that's causing trouble. Let's see, play is, that should be play, shouldn't it? No, play is here. So yeah, there it is. I've gotten so much oil down in here. I just got to clean all this oil out. that the capstan, so yeah, it's what I thought. It's the capstan we cleaned earlier up against this wheel here. There's so much oil on the wheel that it can't drive it, so I just got to clean that without hopefully destroying the electronics here. Let's see if I can get down in here and try to get oil off. Well, just like that, it is actually rotating now, but I don't trust I've gotten all the oil off. All I was trying to do is get a little bit of oil in that spot right there. It can actually be pulled up tighter there. You have to look at the spring on that. There certainly is a spring involved. I mean, it put a bit more tension on that spring. It needs to be able to turn fast enough that it always takes the tape up coming off through the pinch roller mechanism here, but not pulling so hard it stretches the tape. So there is a kind of a fine balancing act to be done there. I'm trying to get good friction here. Alcohol to cut as much of the oil off of this as I can. But yeah, me trying to be a smart ass and lubricate it created this. Need to get some more Q-tips. So at this point I'm going to stop recording here. I'm just going to let this sit and run. The alcohol will slowly dry off of there. I might be able to get a bit more off with a paper towel. I'll probably look at putting a little bit more tension on that spring. But that's definitely the issue. So I caused this, no surprise. I need to put the belt back on for the tape counter. But yeah, we'll come back and see if this is still working in a bit.